Moments before this started recording, the words were said, Mel, you're doomed. But I'm still going to go through it anyway with Mel in the middle, Summer to my left, Andy to my right, and I guess I'll just jump in and say, what is the doom that awaits?
You know, Mel, I thought long and hard about this. And I thought about just giving you an easy day.
Like an easy day, okay.
Not a red-faced turning day. Right? We had a guy in here this morning who was talking about watching you turn purple. Right? He's eager to see Mel in the middle, and you turn purple. So I'm going to give you an easy topic. Are you ready, Mel?
No fair.
Okay.
All right, Mel, I have a problem. I have a big problem.
Okay. So it sounds like I got to be Dr. Phil.
That's right. Normally, Mel, I am a people-pleasing addict, right? I like have a big problem with this. But I am finding it increasingly hard to want to please the authority that is above me in our government.
Ooh.
So it is going against my nature. Like, I'm in a real pickle here. Not a deep fried pickle that I want to enjoy, right? A old nasty pickle, right? That somebody's trying to get me to eat, right? So now there's lots of people out there that have talked about this topic all throughout years and years and years, right? Whenever we're on one side of this or the other, right? The Democrats get into office, we talk about having to obey our authority and the fact that God puts all authority in, right? When Republicans get in, some of us are like, oh, they're the great authority, they're wonderful authority, and then the Democrat people have to worry about that whole thing, right? But when we talk about this, Mel, we're talking about COVID, which just got me off the air. We're talking about vaccines, which just got me off the air. We're talking about Afghanistan, which just got me off the air. We're talking about a bunch of things, right, that are going on now. We're talking about the border, the southern border. We're talking about politicians who are making decisions, right? One of the things that you gave to me, the reason this idea came to mind, sorry this is such a long intro, you gave this visual in your monologue today, but you've done it before. This visual of military personnel on one side of a fence.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side of a fence, U.S. citizens, women with babies, all kinds of different things. But today you added to that imagery wanting to turn the key. The military people wanting to turn that key, but their commanders said no. So Mel, I can't get that image out of my head. What would I do in that moment? My people-pleasing skills would usually make this pretty easy. Obey the authority. Right?
Yeah.
I just need to be obedient to the authority, and I can use that as an excuse. But I can imagine some of these military men and women standing at that fence, and I can imagine with tears coming down their faces, having to tell people, no, we cannot open that gate.
Because they have families.
I can't help you. So Mel, what about this whole issue of authority?
Who do we listen to, Mel?
Who do we listen to in that instant? Ugh.
You see how Summer made one question? I had to go 5
Yeah,
minutes.
I
It's just like,
This is why we need to be here, because
I was just following orders.
that's going to be the name of the show. That's great. Mel in the middle. I was just following orders. Mel, what do you do in that moment?
Would I have opened the gate?
Would you have?
I have a feeling. I don't know what I would have done. I would like to have said.
Okay, so
I'm
Mel,
opening the gate because there are planes here on the tarmac that sit empty, and those people can get on the planes. But our authorities are saying don't open the gate, even though these Americans have passports. They're ready to board, and we're told not to let them in.
So I think this is one of the problems with Christianity in general, right? Mm-hmm. We get to sit back and think about what we would have done, and we always choose the Sunday school answer. So I think the Sunday school answer in this case would have been, of course, we would have turned the knob and let fate fall for whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. But the question for Mel in the middle is, Mel, what would you have done?
I'm afraid I would have not turned the key. That's what I think. I would have defaulted to that. Unless I was more prepared for the situation. Meaning, do you think those soldiers were very aware or prepared for Americans with passport coming to the fence, showing them the passport, and being turned down? See, I almost think that had I had a heads up that this is going to take place, be prepared for it, then I would have been inclined to turn the key. But it all happening so quickly, so fast. You're trained, I think, as a military man, you follow orders. Follow the people who are above
I feel
you.
like that's something, though, in the military that you always should be prepared for, because I feel like it happens all the time in some kind of scenario, right? Like, even if someone's told to snipe a bad guy, like, you're still looking at a human, and you still have to make a choice, right? Like, it's okay, obey my authority, but I'm still looking at a human and possibly killing a human, right? So I feel like that's just like a given that you should be prepared for at all times in the military. They're going to make those choices all the time. But it makes me go back and think of my thing where I was talking about it in marriage with other women, and then you could apply it to church, you could apply it to work, you could apply it to this, and it is, you need to think about what authority you're putting yourself under. Like, who are you putting yourself under, and what are you saying you're going to obey? You know, like, I need to choose a good husband if I'm going to be a Christian wife, right? And if I'm going to follow the Bible and do what it says, well, then I better make sure that I'm under a good authority, because I'm going to keep to my side. So if I'm going to obey, like, I can't just say, well, my husband told me to. So God's like, oh, you're off the hook. Your husband told you to. No big deal. Oh, your job, your boss told you to. Well, you're under his authority, so no big deal. So do we think that through when we sign up for these things?
So, Mel, can I take that scenario, this whole thing, and can I now put it in your world?
Okay.
All right.
A little easier.
You're,
Might be harder.
Or
you're
harder,
standing at the
yeah.
church door on a Sunday morning. The government has just come down and said, no unvaccinated people.
Nope. Sorry.
No unvaccinated people in public places.
Nope. Sorry.
If somebody
Not-
shows up at your door, unvaccinated,
there-
do you unlock the door and
unlock
let them
it. Unlock it. Unlock it. I feel like my mind's already made up on that. I know what I would do. You can't keep a person out simply because they're not vaccinated. To me, it's a total violation of our understanding as a people in America. Government is limited, not the people. And to me, this is an overreach of government to do something like this. Now, what would pressure me more? People within the congregation.
Sure. What if that would have been my next thing? What if a crowd of people joined you? Because again, as the military person in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
you're standing there. There's probably somebody 5 foot away from you, 10 foot away from you, another soldier here, wherever. You might open the gate, but they might not. They might
True.
come and they might
Yeah.
close it, right?
Yeah.
They might say, no, you can't do that, Mel.
Yeah.
Right? And they might turn you in and take you away. What if you're standing at the door and you're representing and you're saying, no, we want you in here, but what if the people standing to your left and your right behind you go, no, we can't do that, Mel.
I know that's where I feel it would be more difficult for me, but I feel, principally speaking, hypothetically, in theory, the right decision to make would be to let the person in.
Okay, can I make his question harder?
Go ahead.
Forget the vaccine. What if that person who shows up at the door is sick?
As in COVID?
Maybe. Yeah, sure.
They
have
got a little cough, they got a
They're
little
sick,
headache,
and
they
they're
got a sore
there,
throat.
and they need to get in. Because they're desperate,
I would,
but they're clearly sick.
yeah,
You got a church full of people.
try to isolate. Meaning, yeah, we could welcome them in, but that there would also be something set up whereby distancing is clearly observed And the person coming in would have to understand, given his or her situation, the condition he or she is in, must regard others there as well.
So Mel, what would Jesus do in that situation?
See, it's just interesting you brought that question up. I thought of the lepers.
I know. I
Right,
think-
right away.
Or the
the
tax
lepers.
collectors, or the prostitutes.
Well, because I'm
or
thinking
the-
like, is the right thing to do to let them in but isolate them, or is the right thing to do let them in and completely surround them and pray over them for healing?
Bingo. That's even better. Even better. Summer.
Throwing it out there, just an
Yeah,
option.
like,
And I
like,
almost-
but there was a lot of people who would do the opposite. That they would do exactly what you just said. Sure, you're welcome in the church, but we have a balcony for you. Sick people are in the balcony, right? And again, how is that being Jesus to them? Is that not like? It's not similar nature? And you might not get there with me, but to me, it would be similar nature as the people who brought the paralytic to Jesus couldn't get in the front door.
Yeah.
So what did they do?
They busted through the roof.
They got up to the roof
So
and they let
awesome.
him down, right?
Yeah.
If somebody's sick, they know they're sick in this atmosphere, and they come to your church, isn't that similar in nature to somebody who's saying, I just need Jesus, and I don't care, I need to
Please
get there.
help me.
Yeah.
Would we leave them on the outside looking in? Would
I
we
don't
put them in
know.
a seat up here, or would we, what part of Christianity is isolating somebody and putting them up in a balcony?
I really like this discussion because it made me go back to a situation in the summer
Ooh,
where we, as in summertime, not summer person.
it's good. It's good. This is where calling your Amber might have been good.
And he came up and talked about the situation he was in. And of course, it was right during COVID. So we all gathered around him, not laying our hands on him, but praying at a distance. That is, we had those come up front and join in prayer for this individual. And it was a very tender moment. Now, I would say also, everybody knew who it was.
Did it work?
Did it work?
Mm-hmm.
As to the person getting healed right then, right
Yeah.
there? No.
Why do you think?
That's a good question. Because we were all praying for him. The only thing that would have reversed the situation was a miracle.
Do you,
Okay? He was 92 years old. Terminal cancer.
So does the Bible tell us to circle up around somebody if they're sick? Does it say, hey, those of you who are sick, come to your elders, circle around them and pray?
Lay hands.
So again, in this COVID thing, right, we have an enemy. He knows the Bible. He knows that verse. He knows that passage. He knows how important that is, right? How often did Jesus heal somebody without touching them? Not very often, right? Most of the time, Jesus put mud in their eyes.
Yeah.
He touched them, right, in some way, shape, or form.
spit.
He then encourages us to do the same thing, right? Lay hands on a person. Don't you think that, again, similar nature to this whole theme, this whole question? Your authority says don't touch him. Don't touch the person, just pray for them, right? But our Bible says lay hands.
Mm-hmm.
Who do we obey? Right? Do we do the thing that makes more sense? Don't touch. Or do we obey our authority that says touch?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the prayer and faith. As part of that faith, I'm not afraid to touch you. Right? I'm not afraid to do that which God has asked me to do. Because it's the same concept, whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's the church door, whether it's in prayer for people. The enemy, no, he does not want us anywhere near the tenets of Christ. He doesn't want us being Christ-like.
It's interesting because the individual was very, very non-sensitive
Mhm.
concerning COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, he said, who cares if I get it? Because the situation he was in was
Right.
far
He
worse.
So he didn't even have COVID. He had cancer.
Yep.
I think about. I've talked a lot about things that hinder our prayers,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of things that hinder our prayers. Faith is a huge one, right? I think, and things like that, especially big things, right, where we want a miracle. I always think like, all right, like what's in the way here? Like, what do I have to deal with first before I ask God for a miracle? Because if I'm coming to him for a miracle in fear, in some faith, but in fear, and not in a prayer to take the fear away, but just in fear, right? And letting fear dictate how I pray. To me personally, like I don't think that would work.
Yeah.
I see that being a big hindrance to my prayers if I approach it that way.
Yeah. He did, I would say, outlive the expectancy that the doctors projected.
Well, it sounds like he
substantially.
had some great faith.
Uh,
He wasn't scared because I mean, if
No,
he got
he
COVID
wasn't-
in that
he-
state
he
in
wasn't-
'92, he would have died,
yeah, he
right?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't afraid. He just went on living. He was just that type of individual.
Right.
Uh,
So maybe
that-
he got more time so that
But yeah, it makes me think doing it. It's interesting you bring this scene back up to me because this was broadcast live Facebook, and I don't know, but there was concern. Well, if this is broadcast throughout Facebook and you're there touching somebody, what if that?
No. It was broadcast live Facebook. What if you all disobeyed everything, touched him, and he was healed immediately?
Right.
But
See-
what about people who know their Bible who are watching Facebook Live
Yep.
and go, why are they being disobedient?
Why aren't they touching him?
So we look at it and we say, what if people go, oh no, we're touching him? But what if there's people out there that are looking at it going, why are they not touching him?
Because
I
we all
would-
wanted to quote Hebrews and say, we're not going to forsake gathering, right? But then we gather, and what do? We're like, oh, I don't know, just stay over there, though. I mean, but we're here.
Yeah, see, I think had it been done over again, I would have just had those who wanted to come, pray, touch.
Just do
By
it.
all means, do it.
So Mel,
By
what
all
do we
means, do it.
what do we do? So it's fascinating to me that we could go example after example of example of this because
Yeah.
the question is authority and the question
Mm-hmm.
is if you're on one side of the fence
What do we
and
do?
you have a key to open up the door and
Mm-hmm.
to let people in, are you not going to do that? So for our listeners, they're listening, they're saying, okay, listen, tell us how to do this. Tell us where should we be standing on this whole thing, right? Because again, this isn't going to get easier. This is going to get
Harder.
and harder, right? The situations
Right.
are going to be harder. We're going to get to where Jesus said, you're going to have family members against family members.
Yep.
Because we
We're already
were
there.
right?
Yeah.
But can you imagine getting to a place where I'm not going to take care of my sick mom because she hasn't gotten a vaccine? So I'm not going to go but we do. We have people who are there.
Yep.
Right? Because the authority has said don't have anything to do with people who aren't getting the vaccine.
Yeah.
What do we do for those people who are listening going, just give me some thoughts, give me some clarity on this, Mal?
I would say follow your God-given conscience as it is guided and directed by the Word of God.
Yeah.
I can't force anybody to do something they don't want, but neither should those who want extra precautions taken to govern the consciences of others. So that's basically my frame of thought, and I think as we proceed, we need to be more bold and fearless in the midst of the trend to make things more controlled by an authority that, yes, we could say is instituted by God, but is not, I think, doing the God-ordained thing in the way they're implementing that authority.
So would it be safe to say that if we have the key to helping somebody get free, and we don't use that key, that we're not being Christ-like? Would that be fair?
I think that's a fair thing.
Yeah.
Very fair.
Fantastic.
I'm pretty black and white.
Yep.
It's pretty easy for me.
Jesus.
Or is it Romans 13 that says that? Or 11? 13? Romans about obeying your authority.
Romans 13.
Romans 13. Right. So it's simple. God says, obey the authorities. I've appointed them, good or bad or ugly, whatever. It doesn't matter. Unless they go against his authority. Simple. Simple. It's black and white. I don't have to think about
Right.
it. If it's saving your life or listening to my boss, I don't have to think. It's not. I'm not even going to think about it. It's going to happen. I'm going to save your life. Period. And I don't
Yep.
care what the ramifications are. If you say I lose my job, okay, pretty sure God's going to hook me up with a better one if I did that. Like, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah,
We shouldn't even have to think about that.
right. Right. That's good.
Easy. Black and white.
Fantastic.
You either
I
are or you
don't-
aren't.
Yeah, and at the end of this, I don't feel doomed.
I told you it'd be a little bit easier on you.
I don't think you went easy on them, but
Important conversation.
Oh, it is good.
They're tuning in, wanting to know Mel's take on things. This is fantastic.
Oh, it's so good to be between Summer and Andy. Well, that's another edition of Mel in the Middle.
bye guys.